Okay, if you have coily textured hair, you know that feeling. You're packing, and there it is, your giant, essential hairbrush that just won't fit. It's a whole thing. So, what are we supposed to do? Let's break down what the folks over at HairBrushy found when they went searching for a real answer.
I mean, this quote just says it all, right? You can feel the frustration. It's like a bad game of Tetris. You need your good brush, but you know those little travel-sized ones are probably going to snap the second they meet your hair. The struggle is definitely real.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? We're not looking for some flimsy brush that gives up halfway through a single tangle. We're trying to find the tools and, maybe even more importantly, the strategies that really work when you're on the road with coily hair. So to figure this out, the team at HairBrushy basically ran a field test. They took a bunch of popular travel brushes and really put them through their paces. We're talking detangling power, how easy they are to pack, and whether they'd, actually survive a trip. Let's see who made the cut. All right, so here's the quick overview of the main players. You can see we've got the Tangle Teaser for those quick touch-ups, the Wet Brush Mini for when you need to be gentle, and the Felicia Leatherwood brush, which is known for handling tight coils. But pay close attention to that cons column. Every single one of them has a catch, a trade-off you have to make. So let's dive into the first one, a brush that a lot of us have probably seen or even tried, the Tangle Teaser Compact Styler. It's got this reputation as a solid travel option, but its real strength isn't what you might think. Let's take a closer look. You can see right away, this thing was built for travel. It's palm-sized, sure, but the really smart part? No handle. That's one less thing to snap off in your bag. And that snap-on cover? Oh, that's a game changer. It keeps all the lint and gunk from your bag from getting into the bristles. It's literally designed for the chaos of a suitcase. And this quote from Stacey B just nails its perfect use case. Look, this is not the brush you're going to use for a full, heavy-duty detangling session after washing your hair. But for fluffing out a twist out or a braid out when you're on the go, it is an absolute lifesaver. But what if your biggest issue isn't so much about styling, but just sensitivity? Well, that brings us to our next contender, which is a totally different beast, the Wet Brush Go Green Mini Detangler. And the keyword for this one is definitely gentle. So its whole secret is these IntelliFlex bristles. Basically, they're designed to be super flexible and just glide through tangles instead of ripping through them. It makes it amazing for kids or if you have a really tender scalp. But, and this is a really important but, this is a maintenance brush. You use it to gently work through minor tangles, not to battle the major knots. You gotta manage your expectations with this one. Okay, so we've got a couple of decent options, but each one has a pretty big catch, right? And this really gets to the heart of the matter. Why is it so ridiculously hard to find a good travel brush for coily hair? Let's really get into this because it's not an accident that most of them just don't work. It really comes down to a basic flaw in how they're designed in the first place. And here is the brutal, honest truth. In the world of hair tools, travel usually just means tiny and weak. Coily hair needs what the source calls serious structure, and these brushes just don't have it. And those folding designs that look so smart, the experts call them breakage city, because those little hinges just can't handle the force. The design is pretty much doomed from the start. All right, so if most of the tools out there are kind of flawed, then what are we supposed to do? Well, this is where it gets interesting. It becomes less about the product you buy and way more about your strategy. Let's talk about some smarter ways to handle your hair when you travel. So think of this as your pre-flight checklist for your hair. And honestly, number one is the most important thing on this entire list. If you detangle your hair really, really well at home with your heavy-duty brush, you've already eliminated like 90% of the problems you might face later. Everything else is just about keeping it that way. This basically boils everything down to two golden rules. On the left, you've got a recipe for disaster, using that questionable hotel conditioner and trying to brush out dry hair. No! The solution is so simple. Bring your own moisture, even if it's just a spray bottle of water and leave-in, and always work on damp hair. Always. And this quote from Stacey B is just everything. It drives the whole point home. Sometimes the absolute best strategy is to just not play the game at all. If you prep your hair in a protective style before you leave, you can just skip the whole detangling struggle while you're away. The best travel brush might just be no brush at all. Okay, so we've looked at the tools that exist, we know why most of them fail,
And we've got some smart strategies. But that kind of makes you wonder, if we could invent the perfect travel brush from scratch, what would that even look like?
And here it is. This is the dream, the holy grail. You'd get the best of everything. Imagine the strength and those amazing flexible teeth of a full-size brush like the Felicia Leatherwood, but on a body that collapses down for packing. You'd have a real full-size handle so you can actually get a good grip, but it would still be portable. And of course, a built-in hard case to protect it. This is what travelers with coily hair actually need.
So at the end of the day, this isn't some big mystery. The needs are super clear. The problems with the current products are obvious. The blueprint for something better is literally right here. So it all comes down to one simple question for the companies making these things. Are you listening?